the scale. He weighed in at an official 145.5 pounds. Started from the bottom now. He enters the ring, an undefeated three-division pound-for-pound king with 33 victories, 24 of those victories coming by way of KO. The former lightweight, former undisputed super lightweight, and tonight, making the first defense of his WBO welterweight championship of the world. Born, bred, and repping Omaha, Nebraska, Terence Crawford.
His professional record, 39 victories, including 29 knockouts with 1 draw. From Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, the reigning, defending, undefeated WBC Super Welterweight Champion of the World, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo Alvarez has not faced as educated.
Trying to come with a left uppercut.
Good uppercut by Alvarez again.
Try to hurt him here.
Another big right hand by Canelo. The right hand lead against the lefty. Right. Canelo will have to cut off the ring.
There you see a hard jab for Canelo. But Canelo now knows what the
41 of the wins for Canelo, 26.
Now, he's trying. I mean, he's giving his best.
Crawford on the attack.
Oh my, look at it.
It's over. Do it.
115, 113, and Steve Weisfeld has it. 115, 113. All 3 scores go to the winner by unanimous decision. From Omaha, Nebraska, USA, he is the new WBA Super Welterweight Champion of the World, Terence Crawford.
History.
Crawford's boxing journey just took a wild turn. After the shocking and controversial draw between Jerona Davis and Lamont Roach, fans are buzzing, but not just about that fight. The hype is now sky high for an even bigger showdown. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. As anticipation for this mega fight reached a boiling point, rumors began swirling about the date and location. Industry insiders hinted at a blockbuster event during Mexican Independence Weekend in September 2024, a time that's historically delivered some of boxing's biggest moments, especially for Mexican fighters. Hosting the bout in Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world, would have guaranteed an epic night. Sold-out arenas, global pay-per-view numbers off the charts, and an electric atmosphere fueled by die-hard fans on both sides. Before we dive deeper, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. 98% of you watch without subscribing, and it helps the channel more than you know. Done? Awesome. Let's get into it. Behind the scenes, one man had the power to make it all happen. Saudi billionaire Turkic Al-Sheikh, chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, has quickly become one of the most powerful figures in boxing. With his mission to bring the biggest fights to the Middle East, he's been financing mega events and reshaping the sport. Al-Sheikh publicly expressed interest in backing Crawford versus Canelo and was ready to put serious money on the table to lure Canelo into the ring. Saudi Arabia had already hosted iconic bouts like Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou and the highly anticipated showdown between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. His involvement signaled one thing: the money was there, and this fight had the potential to become one of the highest-grossing paydays in boxing history. But then, the deal hit a wall. Sources revealed that Canelo's financial demands became the biggest obstacle. While Al-Sheikh was prepared to offer a massive purse, Canelo reportedly demanded a staggering $150 to $200 million. That number sent shockwaves through the boxing world, not only because of its size, but also because it far surpassed the earnings from even the most legendary fights in history. For context, Canelo had made significantly less in previous super fights, including his matchups with Gennady Golovkin and Floyd Mayweather. To many in the boxing community, this demand felt less like negotiation, and more like a strategic move to stall or avoid the fight entirely. It turns out, Canelo may have never wanted the fight in the first place. Sources close to the negotiations revealed what many had suspected. Canelo Alvarez used a classic tactic, pricing himself out of the fight. By demanding an astronomical purse, he effectively shut down talks before they ever gained real momentum. And the backlash was swift. Canelo's $150 to $200 million demand to fight Terence Crawford sparked major controversy, especially when reports surfaced that he had agreed to fight Edgar Berlingo, an undefeated but relatively unproven contender, for just $20 to $30 million. That glaring discrepancy left fans and analysts questioning his true intentions. Was Canelo still chasing greatness, or had he become a businessman first, carefully picking lower-risk opponents while cashing in massive paydays? That's when Turki Alalshik had enough. Rather than get dragged into endless negotiations, the Saudi billionaire made a decisive move. He walked away from the Canelo fight. In a public statement, Alalshik expressed his frustration and officially pulled the plug, announcing that he would instead shift his focus to other blockbuster matchups for 2024 and 2025. His new priority list included names like Terence Crawford, Jaron Boots Ennis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and more. The message was loud and clear: if you don't want to play ball, you don't get to play on the world's biggest stage. Just like that, the fight that had once captured the imagination of the boxing world, Crawford versus Canelo, was off the table, at least for now. Still, the drama didn't die down. In fact, it only ignited more questions. Would Canelo eventually lower his demands and step up to the challenge? Or would he continue stacking wins against lesser-known opponents for massive checks? And what about Crawford? Would he pivot toward a more realistic fight? Or would he keep chasing the one bout that could define his legacy? For now, those answers remain a mystery. But one thing is certain: what was supposed to be a historic clash between two undisputed champions fell apart before it ever began. And the biggest reason? Canelo Alvarez's sky-high financial demands, which eclipsed even his biggest past paydays, against legends like Gennady Golovkin, Caleb Plant, and Dmitry Bykov. To many in the boxing world, Canelo's price tag wasn't just high, it was strategic. The staggering $150 to $200 million demand was seen by insiders as a deliberate attempt to price himself out of the Crawford fight, without having to say no outright. And that's what made Turkic Alalshik's response so decisive. The Saudi powerbroker had already proven he wasn't afraid to spend big to deliver elite fights. He successfully brokered megadeals involving Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder, throwing down millions to bring heavyweight blockbusters to the Middle East. Money was never the issue, as long as the fight made sense. But even he had a limit. Alalshik reportedly offered Canelo a lucrative deal. But when Canelo flat-out rejected the offer without negotiation, Alalshik didn't hesitate, he walked away. In a public statement, Alalshik confirmed he was done pursuing Canelo and would instead focus on fighters who actually wanted to fight. Champions who were hungry, not just for money, but for greatness. His new list? Terence Crawford, Jaron Boots Ennis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Virgil Ortiz Jr. Young stars ready to accept fair terms and face the best. This move sent a clear message: if you're not truly interested in fighting, don't waste our time. And what was Canelo's response? Silence. He didn't counter. He didn't try to renegotiate. He simply moved on, as if the Crawford fight had never been a serious consideration. To fans and analysts, this only confirmed what they already suspected. Canelo never intended to face Crawford. The massive financial demand was just a smokescreen, a way to avoid the fight while saving face. It's not the first time Canelo has faced criticism for cherry-picking opponents, but the drama around this failed matchup only made that perception louder. Why avoid Crawford? Despite being the smaller man moving up in weight, Terence Crawford's skill set is dangerous. He's got elite footwork, surgical accuracy, and a rare ability to adjust mid-fight. The exact kind of fighter who could give Canelo nightmares in the ring. And this story might not be over. Crawford is still looking for legacy-defining fights. Alalshik is still investing in the sport's biggest names. And the pressure on Canelo to prove he's not ducking the toughest challenges? Only growing. This fight may be dead for now. But in boxing, anything can happen. And this isn't the first time Canelo's been accused of ducking danger. A very similar situation played out with David Benavidez, the undefeated, two-time WBC super middleweight champion. Benavidez had been calling out Canelo for years, and the pressure from fans and boxing insiders only grew louder. Canelo? He responded with a familiar move, demanding $150 to $200 million, the same inflated price tag he threw at Terence Crawford, despite Benavidez being his WBC mandatory challenger and arguably the most deserving opponent at 168 pounds. But with no real progress in negotiations and no realistic shot at a fight, Benavidez eventually moved up to 175 pounds, leaving the super middleweight division behind. And just like that, the threat was gone. Canelo no longer had to answer the call. Now, fans are watching the same playbook unfold, this time with Terence Crawford. By asking for an outrageously high payday, Canelo virtually guaranteed the fight would never happen, dodging yet another elite-level challenge. This strategy lets him stay undisputed at 168 pounds, without putting that crown on the line against the most dangerous opponents. What made things even more suspicious? Canelo's willingness to fight Edgar Berlanga, an exciting but untested fighter, for just $20 to $30 million. No shade to Berlanga, he's undefeated, popular, and brings action. But he's nowhere near Crawford's level in skill, experience, or accomplishments. So why the massive difference in price? Was it really about money, or was it about risk? Canelo's critics say the answer is clear. They argue he's entered what they call the parade retirement phase of his career, where fighters stay active but only take low-risk, high-reward bouts. And they point to his 2022 loss to Dmitry Bivol as a turning point. Since then, Canelo hasn't pursued a rematch, even though Bivol offered to drop down to 168 to make it happen. Instead of chasing redemption, Canelo's been chasing paychecks, carefully curating matchups that maintain his star power without jeopardizing his legacy. And that raises the ultimate question. Is Canelo Alvarez still trying to be the best, or is he just trying to protect the brand? Because from where fans are sitting, it looks like he's more focused on controlling the narrative than proving himself against the toughest fighters of this era. With the Crawford fight now officially off the table, the spotlight shifts. What's next for both fighters? Will Canelo continue taking lower-risk matchups, padding his record while avoiding the kind of elite challenges that define true greatness? Will Terence Crawford pivot toward more realistic opponents at 154 or 160 pounds, perhaps chasing a second undisputed title in a new weight class? And the biggest question of all, will the boxing world ever get the dream matchups it truly craves? For now, the Canelo versus Crawford superfight is dead in the water. And Canelo's legacy? Under more scrutiny than ever before. But here's the one thing everyone agrees on. Canelo's hesitation spoke volumes. It signaled one undeniable truth. He saw Terence Crawford as a real threat. Even respected voices like Teddy Atlas didn't hold back. The veteran trainer and analyst, known for his blunt, no-nonsense breakdowns, acknowledged that Crawford's technical brilliance was unmatched. But he also pointed out the obvious challenge. Could Crawford absorb power shots from a man who's been fighting naturally bigger opponents for years? Still, Atlas raised a key point. If Canelo truly believed Crawford had no chance, he would have taken the fight without hesitation and collected an easy payday. But instead, he asked for $150 to $200 million, a move Atlas called a way out. You don't ask for that kind of money unless you're looking for an excuse not to fight. Teddy Atlas' former champion Andre Ward echoed the same sentiment. He noted how fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Dmitry Bivol had already exposed flaws in Canelo's flat-footed, counterpunch-heavy style, and believed Crawford had the IQ and skill to do the same. Ward also shut down the idea that size alone decides fights. Boxing is a thinking man's sport, he said. I've seen Crawford break down guys who thought they were bigger, stronger, and tougher. I wouldn't bet against him, no matter the weight. So what's the final verdict? The fight will likely never happen. And it's not because Crawford didn't want it. It's because Canelo Alvarez, the reigning undisputed champion at 168, made it financially impossible. And in doing so, he made something else clear. He didn't want the risk. Some analysts believe Canelo's size would have eventually worn Crawford down. Others argue Crawford's skill set is more than enough to neutralize the weight difference. But the truth is, none of that matters. Because the fight? It was never really on the table. Now, the attention turns to what's next. Will Canelo finally take a real challenge? Will Crawford continue chasing greatness? And will fans ever see the fights that define legacies, not just pad records? The questions linger. But one thing is certain. The Canelo versus Crawford saga may be over. But the story of these two fighters is far from finished. So what now? Will Canelo Alvarez continue cherry-picking safer opponents, prioritizing low-risk, high-reward matchups? Or will the pressure from fans and critics finally force his hand, pushing him toward a fight that actually proves he's still the top dog in boxing? And what about Terence Crawford? Will he find a new high-profile challenge to cement his legacy, without needing to chase the Mexican superstar? One thing's for sure, this fight may never happen. But the debate about what could have been will rage on for years to come. The fallout from the failed Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford negotiations has split the boxing world right down the middle. Die-hard fans, veteran analysts, social media, everyone has an opinion. On one side, those who believe Canelo deliberately avoided a dangerous fight, that his astronomical $150 to $200 million demand wasn't about fair compensation. It was about killing the fight before it even had a chance. A strategy, not a negotiation. And the evidence? Critics point to a clear pattern in Canelo's recent matchmaking. His ongoing avoidance of David Benavidez. His lack of interest in a Dmitry Bivol rematch, even after Bivol offered to move down to 168. And of course, his sudden willingness to face Edgar Berlanga, an untested contender, for just $20 to $30 million. So the question is, if it's not about money, what is it really about? As of now, the fight between two undisputed champions, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, is officially dead. No historic showdown. No clash of styles. No legacy-defining moment. What once had the potential to be a fight for the ages. It is now just another what-if in boxing history. But here's the truth. The controversy is far from over. The only question that remains is this. Will Canelo ever take another high-risk fight? Or has he entered the phase of his career where legacy protection matters more than legacy building? One thing is undeniable. Boxing fans will not forget this. Not today. Not next year. Not ever. Fire all right, fight fans. Stay ahead of the game. For more breaking news, epic drama, and insider breakdowns from the world of boxing, make sure you're subscribed to Boxing is Here. Mobile phone with right arrow, hit that bell icon, turn on notifications, and never miss a moment. And don't forget, check out our other videos for more must-see content on the sport we all love. Until next time, keep your guard up, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next round.